Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. This is episode 383, and we've got a really fantastic guest. She seems up for it. She's pumped up.
Yay!
To go, and that's Lyndsay Phillips of Smooth Selling Business Growth. I just love the name.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. So, Lyndsay, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
For sure. I joke and say that I'm captain of Smooth Sailing Business Growth. And
I was expecting you to have a captain.
yeah, I'm not a hat girl at all. And I don't even have a boat. But I love the water, and I love the idea of course, everything going smooth in your business, which is what we all want. And so we help our customers attract and acquire and convert customers faster through content marketing. And been in business, gosh, I run out of time. 6 years maybe now. I can't even, all goes by way too fast. Have a team now of, I think there's 14 of us, and we're just, growing. And I love what I do. Adore my clients. They are like family to me. And love sales funnels, especially podcasts and podcast production. And of course have my own show as well, which Cindy has been on. So yeah, it's been a great journey.
Yeah, you got your own crew, definitely. All right. So I also got my fantastic co-host, Cindy. Cindy, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers, the new ones?
Yes. Hello, everyone. It is Cindy Nicholson here. I am from thecoursewhisperer.com, and I help entrepreneurs that are looking to level up their online courses.
Right. And I am the founder and CEO of WP-Tonic. So in this episode, folks, we're going to be talking about sales funnels to help you if you've got e-learning course, membership site, everything about funnels. And also we're going to throw a bit of this and a bit of that in, so we keep the conversation flowing. And but before we go into the main content, I love to quickly talk about one of my great sponsors, and that's Kinsta Hosting. And what is Kinsta Hosting? Well, they provide hosting only for WordPress websites. And if you've got a membership site or course or a WooCommerce site, your normal average shared hosting just ain't going to hack it, folks. You're going to have loads of problems. So you need something a bit better, and that's what Kinsta Hosting provide. They provide performance hosting on Google Cloud, so you get the best performance possible, but you also get a fantastic interface and fantastic 24/7 support. And we host the WP-Tonic website on Kinsta. We've been doing that for over a year. They've been a sponsor for about 2 years, and they're just a fantastic crew. And you get all the bells and whistles. You get staging site, the latest versions of PHP. Why is that important? Well, it'll make your site super fast. Staging, one-click backup, and if you have a problem, you talk to people that really understand about hosting and about WordPress. So if that sounds attractive to you or your clients, go to kinsta.com. Right, that's the plug, and on to Lyndsay. So how are we going to start this, Lyndsay? Are we going to start with funnels? Do you fancy starting off with that?
Yeah, I'm game for anything. Bring it on. I know, we were kind of chatting before and stuff and emailing back and forth. And Cindy, of course, is a whiz when it comes to online courses. But I think it feels like people have their courses and it just kind of stands alone and hovers by itself, which if you're like Grant Cardone and you've got like a bazillion and you're making like a lot of passive income on them, then hey, kudos to you. But I mean, we want to leverage that content and those products as best as we can. And I guess kind of understand how it fits into your business model and it fits into the big picture, right?
Yeah, I suppose it does. So how do we start on this journey of funnels, and where do you think somebody should start on this journey?
For sure. And that's a great question because you do need to get the big picture. And I mean, some people call it a sales funnel and some people think sales funnels is only email. So, I mean, there's tons of terminology out there. I call it a product ladder. Some people call it an ascension ladder. But basically, in a nutshell, if you think of a ladder, you need to have people take step one and then take step two, step three to get them where you want them to go, which, you know, in most cases is like a big event or a group coaching program or one-on-one coaching, whatever your biggest ticket product is, or the one where you have the biggest ROI or whatever that may be. And so if you have, and I'll just kind of give an example. So a lead magnet would be like a step one. A webinar would also be like a step one to kind of attract them and pull them into your circle. You can have a tripwire that is like a really, maybe even like a paid webinar or a really small course. And then again, it kind of depends on the cost of your online course. If it's a series, if it's just a quick one-off, they're buying something, right? They're buying your course. So what do you want them to do next that relates? Again, maybe it's a course series or like a 3-month coaching program or a 2-day event, whatever that may be. You need to have steps of where they're entering, how they get to the course, and then where they're going to go after that.
That's great. Cindy?
Yeah, I think that's really important because, you know, any of the clients that I work with, really the course that they want to create is kind of always the starting point. They know they want to create a course, and I often ask them like on the onboarding part, where does this fit in your overall business plan? And they really haven't kind of thought that through. They're just mainly focused on, you know, getting the course done, but you really want it to be part of an overall plan. I know all of my clients want to have something beyond it, whether it's or courses or membership sites or masterminds. Those are kind of all of the other things. So where can this online course or a membership site fit in an overall business plan? What are the options in terms of what's available to them beyond just creating an online course?
Exactly. And I mean, you know best, Cindy, it's like there's so many different types of courses. Some are like a full 1-day immersion. Some are like, I mean, there's so many, a mini workshop, a seminar, it can be an hour, it can be like an 8-week program. And again, some might be $20, some might be free, and some might be, you know, $1,000. So I think the level of commitment that someone has to take, whether it's time or money, I think that is like, that's weighted, right? That needs to come into consideration of how it fits into the puzzle, because you don't want them to go from a free lead magnet to $20 to, you know, $2,000. It needs to be, it's like you have to, you know, I know it's cliche, but you have to date them, you have to nurture them, you have to get them to trust you and slowly, you know, hand out those dollars, so to speak. And yeah, and another great point, honestly, is the topics that are covered. I mean, you don't want to have someone coming in through a lead magnet that's covering their problem about hiring, and then you're going to offer them a course on, you know, how to generate leads, because it doesn't correlate. It's not like a natural progression. It's not getting them to dive deeper into you helping them solve their problem.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Making sure that the lead magnet will be kind of part and parcel of what the solution is that your online course will solve. And it's funny, when I'm working with clients, they don't have their lead magnet yet, but as we start working together, we end up discovering, oh, this will be a perfect lead magnet to get them into the course, because it's not something you want to include in the course, but it's a good way to attract them into it. So that's something to always be keeping in mind. What is the lead magnet that will kind of direct them to the problem that they want to solve?
For sure. And you want to attract them, right? Like with social media, Facebook ads, whatever that may be, your email list, to get them to kind of get that lead magnet. And you're giving them a taste of, like, to solve. The biggest thing is you're solving their problem through the course, through the lead magnet, through whatever it may be. So you want to give them like a taste of you, and then the course, they're hungry for more, and they think you're the bomb diggity on that topic. And then naturally they would want, you know, you to coach them or whatever it may be.
Right. Exactly. Jonathan?
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. One thing's been coming in my mind. It's just left my mind.
That happens to me all the time.
I just had a brain fart, listeners and viewers. I don't. Can you ask another question, Cindy?
That happens to me.
Okay, so I do actually have a question that I was going to ask. So you've got your lead magnet that helps direct them to the course. They end up taking the course, and, you know, let's say you have subsequent rungs after this that that you want to attract your customers or your students into. What do you think about selling in the course in terms of talking about other offers? Do you recommend it? What would you
Yeah.
how would you go about enticing people to continue on working with you?
Totally. I love that. My business coach, Jim Palmer, and my friend that I've had for years, he's like the king of planting seeds. It's like, even in the videos or however you present the course material, I'm assuming a lot of them are video, you can like casually, when I coached my client about this topic, blah, 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 you're seeding that you even have a coaching program. So it's subtle. You're not selling, but you're just kind of planting those little pieces of information. Or even like, I talked about this on one of my podcast shows, Smooth Business Growth Podcast. You're just kind of planting that little bit of information. And same with using your results or case studies. That is huge. It speaks for itself, right? So even if it's in like the course material, whether it's written or otherwise, if you show a sample or an example in your teaching process, not only does it help them kind of picture it in their head, but you're planting a seed that you've helped this person do this exact thing. Therefore, you can help them. And so it kind of, psychologically, they're like, oh, yeah, I have the same issue. If they help that person, they're going to help me. And honestly, I'm a firm believer in like if they log into a membership site to like kind of get their course and stuff like that, absolutely have a tab in there or a page in there that is like, how can I help you more? How can you work with me on a deeper level? Or how can I take this to the next step? You can't rely on them to ask the questions, hey, how can I get more? Because they're not gonna. You need to like, hey, here's how else I can help, or a video of like what the next steps are, whatever that may be. Absolutely, firm believer.
Yeah, I love that advice in terms of in the actual course, you don't necessarily have to be hard selling anything, but you can plant the seeds. You can tell stories, you can use case studies, you can say, when I was working with this client, those are all ways to plant the seeds.
Totally.
So I think those are great strategies where people will feel more comfortable doing it rather than outright selling. Because that turns a lot of students off too, if they feel like they're just being sold.
Sure.
So I think that's a good way of doing it. And then potentially at the end of the course, do you want more? Like if you're interested in some further help or whatever, here is what I have to offer. That may be a way to entice those people that are actually interested in, working with you more because they've gotten so much value out of them to begin with. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And you gotta toot your own horn, man.
Yeah. And you can do it in a subtle way. You can do it in a way
exactly.
That's helpful for sure. Jonathan.
Yeah, I think I remember my question now. Thank you, Cindy, for jumping in. But I think it's going to be one of my long-winded ones, so we're going to leave it to after the break. We're going to go for our break, folks, and we're coming back. We're going to continue with this great discussion with the captain of the ship. We'll be back in a few moments. We're coming back, folks. Might be rough seas for your course, but we've got the captain, Lyndsay Phillips, with us. She's going to guide us to calmer waters. I've had a bit of a go at people that say, running a course, membership sites, passive income, this whole thing, you can just set it up and leave it. And Cindy's agreed with me that that's basically a load of old rubbish. But on the other hand, I don't want to be negative because I really think this is one of the few areas that you can be in employment and have the opportunity to build a secondary business, a secondary income, and be able to do that. It's going to be hard work, but it's possible to be able to do this in either a part-time or a semi-full-time job. What's your thoughts about that, Lyndsay?
I personally love leveraging stuff you've already done. So one of my clients has done courses live, and which has been fantastic, gleaned results and so forth, but then using that content again and creating it as an evergreen, whether it's free webinar or whatever that may be, making it evergreen. And then as long as you have a really good customer experience and a really good follow-up sequence afterwards to kind of push them to the next step, it could glean killer results. And if you keep building products based on stuff that you're already doing or delivering live, and then really when you're doing it live, you're almost giving it a test run, right? Like, is there really interest in the marketplace? Are people responding? Did you get a lot of results at the end of your offer? And if it didn't, you tweak it and do it live again. And then when it's like, bang on, then make it evergreen and build it into a product. So, I mean, I think it's a great test model.
Yeah, and I also believe that it's possible to do it, and if you don't have too many people bailing out on the course, and you can build it up to a certain revenue level, you can do, and it's manageable, and you can get it to a stage where you can leave the boss, can't you? You can say, farewell, I'm going on a different cruise.
I love it. So true. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have like your business and what you do, but even to have a few pieces that are passive income and kind of running itself, it's not like you have to be either or, right? I mean, and if something takes off and some of those pieces are generating a lot of money for you, then do more of that. But I mean, honestly, do what it is that you love. I mean, don't create products and passive income just for the sake of it. I mean, do things that make you happy.
Yeah, be happy. What do you reckon, Cindy?
Yeah, well, I think your point around, leveraging the material that you've got is huge. I think that one of the biggest things my clients kind of realize once they put a course together is they've got content for their blogs and their podcasts or their whatever they're doing. They have content for a long time, and they all have materials that they can share. So maybe, if you can talk a little bit about how to leverage that material, like what kinds of things, can they do with the content that they've got in their course and leverage it in other ways to help market themselves and things like that.
So sorry, was the question about leveraging your content to make a course, or leveraging your course to
the other way around? How, why? So you've created a course. Is there an opportunity to leverage, or what are the opportunities to leverage what you've created in there in other aspects of your business?
That is a great question. I love and I've had clients do things multiple ways, especially if you have a book. It's easy to create a course on a book because you got the stuff over there already. But then you can take snippets out of it and create blog posts, because those blog posts, if traffic is going to those blog posts, that's like a bite, like a snackable bite of your course, and you're getting a lot of hits on that page, then generate a lead magnet that has to do with that, because that is what is attracting people, that specific topic. And you can use that as a hook then, Facebook ads, retargeting, videos, whatever that may be, to attract more interest into your course. Or like, again, you've got the content in your course. Don't take the video that's in your course out of it and use, but you can, let's say you've got 5-step ways to make a cake, and then whatever that one way is, you could do like a 2-minute video on it, and you're going to reword it differently anyways, but it's just you don't have to reinvent the wheel of what a blog topic is, what a podcast topic is, what a video topic is, social media posts, whatever that may be. And it's also a way when you're sharing that content to see which tips or from your course are getting the most action, because that will help you market the course better and optimize it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I find if you're creating your course, you can leverage a lot of that material and if you find that you're getting particular interest in certain topics that you talk about, that could be a way, something to focus on or emphasize when you're marketing. No, that's a good point. Jonathan.
Yes, Lyndsay. One of the things we've stressed over the months is pre-identifying, is there a demand for your course, your subject, your experience? And a lot of people, I think, because they're really either they're experiencing the industry, they've got a lot of experience, or they've got a lot of connections. They just think that because they've got that, there's going to be a demand for their course. Have you got any kind of tips or insights about how they can pre-identify? Is there a need? Is there a want for their course? Because I personally think two areas might be Facebook groups or YouTube, but I don't know if you like those platforms and you've got some of your own ideas.
I think you can, I mean, there's so many different ways of testing. You can do a video on the topic, blogs on the topic, create a lead magnet on the topics, do webinars, and whether you're doing Facebook ads for the webinar to drive traffic or boost posts, either which way, you have to see what is it that your audience wants. What topic is like burning in their brain? What are they suffering from on a daily basis? If you test a bunch of different topics or webinars or videos or whatever, and there's one that kind of stands out, like people really watched or they signed up for, then they want more of it. And even those people that, let's say you did a webinar, you could, approach them afterwards or do a survey. Hey, would you want more? If I turned this into this, or this, would you want a course? Would you want to deep dive into this topic to fix it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think a good idea is like look at what's popular on YouTube in your area and who's getting views, and also do that on Facebook groups that are in your subject, and then maybe do a landing page with a lead magnet that answers some of those things you're observing, just to see if you do get people signing up.
Right, absolutely.
That could be it before you delve into a whole course. What do you reckon about that?
For sure. And I've known a couple of people to have like a waiting list, right? Where there's content on that page. So you're sharing content, you're serving, but hey, I'm building this course, would you want to be on a waiting list to find out when it comes up, and have some preliminary verbiage about what the course would cover. And then if you get enough people that sign up for the waiting list, then you're golden. You've got them to beta test it for you or whatever. And I'm like, don't be afraid to say that you're beta testing something. I'm launching a new course. I'm going to beta test it to a small group. You get a charter member fee for it or whatever, and then work out the kinks. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, not everything's going to work out perfectly. And if it works like gangbusters, you tweak and launch.
Yeah, I think that's such great advice, because I have so many clients that approach me and they want the whole thing built out and they haven't done any provisional testing.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work to build a really quality course. I think it's much better to kind of build like some lead magnets and maybe a starter course than really delving into some massive project, isn't it?
Yeah, and webinars really are an easy way to test. It's like an hour. Sure, you got to do the marketing and stuff, but really it's like an hour of your time live on Zoom, whether you have slides or don't have slides. See how the chat function goes and what feedback that you're getting and stuff like that. It's a fairly non-committal, easy way to test without investing a lot.
That's right. So I think we're going to wrap up the podcast part of the show. We're going to go into some bonus content, which you'll be able to see quicker than the podcast if you go to our YouTube channel. If you want to see our latest interviews before we put them on the podcast, and also our bonus content, go to the WP-Tonic YouTube channel and you'll probably be able to see our latest interviews about 2 to 4 days before we actually publish them on iTunes. That's if you just can't wait. You just need to
And I've got some good stuff I can share, so you
right.
dive over.
Cannot wait, listeners and viewers. So, Lyndsay, how can people find out more about you, your thoughts, and what you're up to?
For sure. I mean, I'm more heavily on Facebook than anything else. But if they go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com, they can check out, of course, all of my great content. And I've got a social media roadmap on the homepage that they can dive into. And yeah, I love connecting on Facebook.
Yes. And Cindy, how can people find out more about you, what you're thinking, what you're up to?
Well, they can come and visit me at thecoursewhisperer.com, and I'm also more active on LinkedIn. So come reach out to me there and say you heard us on the podcast.
And if you want to find out more about WP-Tonic, go to the WP-Tonic website. We've always got some great articles, got great interviews. Basically, we provide a free course if you're looking to start your first membership site. I would suggest you go to the W site and just kind of just stick in, and learn, just suck it in to the mind. We'll be back next week, folks, where we're going to have another expert like Lyndsay, sharing their knowledge and their experience, or we'll be having an internal chat, me and Cindy. But we're providing something of interest for you if you're looking to start that membership site with the power of WordPress. We'll be back next week, folks. Bye. How bonus content? Got questions, Cindy?
I do have a question. Okay, so we were talking about things you should do before creating the course. I want to talk about the after, because
that's where I was going.
It's interesting because I've taken a number of online courses, and I can't say that I have been impressed with any post-course anything. So I'd love your advice as to what can course creators do to kind of nurture that or continue the relationship. What would you recommend?
Awesome. The first thing I would just backtrack ever so slightly is that while you're delivering the course, you definitely want to make sure that you're sending them emails and not just expecting them to engage in the content and watch and read and learn. You want to make sure that you are emailing them and nurturing them along the way. Even have videos in those emails, hey, how are you doing? Hit reply. Tell me if you have any questions. Did you check out this? Did you see this? You always want to remind them the benefits of the course itself. And I think that's an important part of building that relationship with the person and really showing that you're authentic, that you really want to help them. So that is the first tip I would give along that way. But afterwards, you definitely want to check in with them, a week later, whatever that may be. Hey, are you implementing it? How are things going? And don't be afraid to do those emails where you tell them to hit reply, as long as you've got a team member or you take those emails and process them, because it's so much easier than them hitting a button, filling out a form. People will just hit reply and type a comment or whatever and have that conversation back and forth. That has been hugely successful for some of my clients of mine. And don't be afraid to promote to them afterwards, whatever that proper next step is, send them promotional sequence. Hey, you've learned all of this, but did you know you can also do this? And here's how I can help. I mean, and you do want to play into the pain points. Don't just like, hey, I've got this program, now come join this. I mean, there's some certain language and approach that you want to abide by. And then to take it one step further is if they don't buy, have an alternate sequence. So you can do a couple of things. So if and Infusionsoft and ActiveCampaign are really great for this. So if they don't do this, then you can either send them a webinar, get them to sign up for an evergreen webinar to maybe they haven't felt engaged enough with you and feel that kind of trust and that you're the expert. Or send them through what I call a goodwill campaign, where you're just giving them golden nuggets of information that is helpful. And then ask again in a different way. Or I'll give you another way, is send them a survey. And depending on how they answer the survey is dependent, will then trigger a tag and then get them to like a certain offer, right? I'm having an issue with XYZ. Oh, well, if you're having an issue with XYZ, here's some content that will help. And then, you know, maybe they want to join the mastermind. Maybe they want to buy a course that has to do with that specific topic. But don't be afraid to survey them to, how can I help you? You know, what is the issue? And the last point, I know that's a lot of information. And the last point is, don't be afraid to call them. Pick up the phone. Hey, how was the course? Did you like it? You know, did you have any problems with it? How can I help? That is a huge missed opportunity if you're not calling them and personally reaching out to them to see how they're doing.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of key points that you mentioned there. Number one, finding out how they felt the course was. Like how, you know, I don't know how many times I've been asked for feedback on courses that I've taken, but it's been very small.
Totally.
And you know, in my role, I always have feedback in terms of how the course was delivered. So again, that's a missed opportunity where you could learn a lot about how you can make enhancements with your course, but it also can identify like where you go next, like where can you help these people. So I think that's huge opportunity. And then, so that's kind of the first thing, the surveys, but there's always a next level. You know, whatever course you create, there's always the next level up of where they're going, because you're never going to be, you know, problem free with whatever.
Oh God,
no. So knowing what that next kind of almost next challenge that they're going to have beyond your course, and you know, giving them the opportunity to get help when they get to that point, I think is important. As long as you know, add the value in the course that you delivered in the first place.
Totally.
So that's what's key.
And really, you're doing them a disservice by not sharing what other opportunities for them to get help.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Jonathan.
Yeah, one thing I've learned over the past couple of years, maybe I'm a slow learner, Lyndsay, is when it comes to copy a message on landing pages or your website, what you think is obvious isn't obvious to you, the people. It's been, you know, you kind of look at it, you kind of narrow down the tagline, you narrow down the copy, you work on it, go back to it, work on it some more. But it's still not good enough, isn't it? But I think it's partly down because you're so involved in it that you think what is obvious must be obvious to your audience. What do you think? Do you think I'm right about that? That's a really big mistake a lot of people make in their offering pages, their home page in general, the website in general, that what is obvious isn't obvious to your target audience.
Totally, because you live your business day in and day out. And your offer may not be clear. It may not be consistent. And if they're confused, they're bailing. And you may think, well, if they're still struggling, they're going to reach out and ask me to coach them or whatever. It's like, oh no, you have to ask. They have no clue what your solutions are. They have no idea how you can help them. Just consider them like clueless little people that really need your help, and understanding what the opportunities are and understanding how you can help. And serve them, and don't be afraid to share. Again, you mentioned a great words, languaging. You know, if your emails, whether it's the subject line or the first paragraph, it's kind of like, apologize, I'm sorry in the subject line, that would grab attention. And then, I didn't realize that I forgot to tell you this great information that I have. Maybe I missed it in the course. Oops, my bad. So it's kind of like that languaging, right? It's like, I forgot to tell you this. I'm serving you. I want to make sure that you're aware. Really key.
I'll give you an example. One of my main landing pages is to get people off Kajabi and back to the light of WordPress. Back to so maybe like all engrossing Swiss Army sasses, they've found that have outgrown Kajabi and they want to come back to something that's a bit more flexible for their business needs, but they don't want to deal with all the headaches that WordPress can produce. So they like the freedom, but they don't want the headaches. So that's that's where our solution comes in. But I'm going to have to do a rewrite because I think it's probably beneficial to me to put the wording of the comparison between what I'm offering to Kajabi, but utilize the wording of Kajabi. Like they have their own wording on the Kajabi site, like for a landing page, they don't use the terminology landing page, or for a marketing, automative marketing, they don't actually use that language. So I've got the conclusion that I'll probably be better off utilizing the language of my main competitors, shouldn't I?
It's worth a test. And when you have landing pages, you can do a split test, right? A and B. So if you change just one section and then test them out and see which one's a hit, and then you can change one other sequence, see which one's a hit, and then just keep tweaking.
Because I had a friend of mine, a CEO of a very well-known plugin, and they said they changed the layout and the wording of their key sales page, and they had a doubling of the conversion on that
crazy.
Page.
I know. Like even the text on a button can make a difference. It's unbelievable.
All this stuff you got to worry about, Lyndsay.
I know, right? But you can only do one test at a time, so
that's
you're
why I'm a
there.
nervous wreck. I'm a nervous wreck now, Lyndsay. There we go. Cindy, got a final question, so we let the cat.
Yeah, well, I'm interested, Lyndsay, just to hear more about your business. Like, who's an ideal client for you, and how do you serve them? Tell us more about what you do.
Sure. So most of my clients are, solopreneurs, but they've branched out more. So they're starting to have a little bit of team, and they really need to scale. You can't do it all, and you can't do it all by yourself and at once and grow your business. So you need people to help you with the marketing so that you can focus on, revenue generating sales and, coaching your clients or whatever it may be. So most of my clients seem to be authors, speakers, coaches, to some degree. I have a lot of people in the real estate investing sphere, which is kind of interesting. But for me, my love and my focus is podcast launches, production, promotion, and sales funnels. So I really like to look at everything holistically and create a strategy and not just post social media for the sake of posting social media. And I love sales funnels, as you can probably tell. I get passionate about it. And so creating that ladder and putting people through the sales funnels and testing and email marketing. And not every entrepreneur is ready for that whole sales funnel step, right? So it's usually entrepreneurs that are kind of, above MailChimp, so to speak, that they are having funnels and tripwires and so forth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Jonathan.
Oh, thanks, Lyndsay. It's been a blast. You put up with my puns, my terrible puns. Awful stuff.
That's the best part of the show.
Cindy's been kind of hiding behind the mic, as they come forth. But I just couldn't resist it.
It would be too dry if it was any other way.
It was. You seem to find it amusing. I continued. Sometimes I just get very kind of stares at me, and then I stop. I've learned to stop, actually. So Lyndsay, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It was fun.
It was. And
you guys
folks,
are awesome.
Oh, thank you, Lyndsay. You have to come back in the year. Folks, we're going to finish the bonus content. We'll be back next week with either an internal show or another great guest like Lyndsay, and she's been a blast and a joy to interview. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye.